Hello guys, so today we'll be looking into the lesson of Surds. It's a simple lesson and it's pretty easy, so trust me, you'll find it very easy. Okay, so firstly we're looking into the English laws. In this laws. So under English laws, so we'll look into 4 different rules. Okay, the first rule is going to be a to the power m into a to the power n. This is going to be equal to a to the power m plus n. So the powers will be added. So now you might notice that the bases have to be same. This has to be a and this has to be a. If we look into an example, it would be 3 to the power 5 into 3 to the power 3, which is going to be 3 to the power 8. Alright. So moving on to the second rule. Second rule is going to be a to the power m divided by a to the power n. This is equal to a to the power m minus n. The powers will be subtracted. So if we look into an example for this as well, it would come as 4 to the power 3 divided by 4 to the power 1, which is going to be 4 to the power 2. Okay. So we'll move on to the next rule as well, which is going to be the third rule. So a to the power m and everything to the power n. This is where the powers will be multiplied. So this would be m into m. So if we look into an example of this sort, it would be 5 to the power 3 and everything squared, which is going to be 5 to the power 6. So that would be that. And we have another rule left, which is the negative powers. So when a to the power minus m is there, this is going to lead to 1 over a to the power m. So notice that here the power is negative, and when it goes to the reciprocal, 1 over a to the power positive power, positive m. So if we look at an example, that would be 4 to the power minus 10. This is going to be 1 over 4 to the power 10. So this you'll have to keep in mind. The negative power will turn into positive when it's the reciprocal. So these are the 4 rules which you'll have to remember. And there is another important point, which is going to be a to the power 0. This is equal to 1. Any number to the power 0 will lead you to 1. So we'll look into these 4 rules plus these important points. Now this you'll have to keep in mind. These 4 rules as well as this important point, which states that a to the power 0 is equal to 1. Alright, so moving on, we'll look at some surds. Surds follow the irrational numbers. So surds include irrational numbers. So if we look at root 2 and root 3 and root 5, we'll look at these. So if we look at root 2, the entire decimal in a calculator, it's going to be 1.414213,562, and root 3 is going to be 1.7320500808, and root 5 would be 2.236067977. So if we look at all 3 of these, you might notice something special. We cannot write any of these as a fraction. So the definition of irrational numbers would be, we cannot, notice the word cannot, write in the format of A or B, where A is an element of integers and B is an element of integers which are positive and negative. Okay, now we'll move on to these 5 questions. So first one would be root 20. Root 20. Now something special in surds, some trick we have to follow when manipulating surds would be that we have to form a square number inside the surd. So here 20 we can write it as 4 into 5. So we can separate this into root 4 into root 5. So if you notice that there is root 4 here, so root 4 is going to be 2, as 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So that's going to lead you with root 2 root 5. This is the final answer. Okay, first question done. Number 1 done. Okay, now the second question. 4 root 63 minus 5 root 7 minus 8 root 28. So firstly, we have to look into the equation. Look into the question. So we have root 63 irrational numbers, root 7, root 28. Now to simplify this, we'll have to take all of these to a common surd. So now if we look at the first one, root 63, we can write it as 9 into 7. Since we have to form a square number inside these surds to simplify them. So this minus 5 root 7 minus 8 into root 28 as well, you can write it in terms of a square number and 7. So that's going to be 4 into 7. So if you simplify this, it's going to be 4 into root 9, which is going to be 3, root 7 minus 5 root 7 minus 8 times root 4 multiplied by root 7. So if we look into this, 4 times root 9, so root 9 would be 3, 4 times 3 times root 7 minus 5 root 7 minus 8 times root 4 is going to be 2, so that times root 7, this is going to be equal to 12 root 7 minus 5 root 7 minus 16 root 7. So this is going to be equal to 12 root 7 minus 21 root 7. So finally ending up with 9 minus 9 root 7. So this is the final answer. And now you saw how we have to arrange the surd in such a form that we can simplify them. So we have to look into a square number always. So question 2 is done. So now moving on to the question number 3. So question number 3, this is going to be 4 over root 3. Now here we have to rationalize this. Rationalizing would be taking away an irrational number away from the denominator. You could have an irrational number on the top in the numerator but not in the denominator. So if we look at this, we can take rid of this root 3 by multiplying it by root 3 itself. So we can write this as root 4 root 3 divided by root 3 multiplied by root 3. So root 3 times root 3, which is equal to 3. So it's going to be 4 root 3 divided by 3. This is the final answer. Okay, so we looked at these simple questions. Now we'll move on to further a bit more challenging questions. So the next question would be this. So the fourth question would be 2 root 6 divided by root 2 plus root 75 minus 3 over root 12. So notice that this has an irrational number in the denominator as well as this. So we have to take those away. So we can multiply top and bottom by root 2 in this scenario. So multiply by root 2 plus now 75, we have to form a square number from this. So it's going to be 25. 25 is 5 squared. So we can write it as 25 multiplied by 3. Minus 3, now we have to take rid of this irrational number in the denominator. So we multiply top and bottom by root 12. Here 3 root 12 divided by 12. So this is equal to 2 would get cancelled. So we're going to end up with root 12 plus 5 root 3 minus 1 over 4 root 12. Now if we look at root 12, we can write root 12 in other terms. It would be 4 into 3, where 4 is a square number. So we'll go with that. So we can write it as root 4 into root 3 plus 5 root 3 minus 1 over 4 root 4 into root 3. So this we can write it as 2 root 3 plus 5 root 3 minus root 4 is going to be 2. So 2 times minus 1 over 4 is going to be minus half. So root 3 divided by 2. So we're going to end up with 2 root 3 plus 5 root 3, which is going to be 7 root 3 minus half, which is going to be 6.5 root 3, which we can write as a fraction 13 over 2 root 3. So we solved this. Now you would see how we have to arrange the surds and manipulate them. So it's pretty easy. So we'll look at the final example, final question. Okay, so the final question. We're done with that and we're going to be doing this. So final question, which is going to be root 3 minus root 2. So if we look at this, now it's a rather complex type of set. So root 3 minus root 2. Now here comes into the equation the conjugates. So if we look at some surds, 2 plus root 3. The conjugate of this would be the opposite sign of this surd. So it's going to be 2 minus root 3. So if we take another example, minus 2 plus root 5. The conjugate of this is going to be minus 2. The real part would be same. The whole number would be same and the surd would change the sign. So it's going to be minus 2 minus root 5. Okay. So we look at another example. So if we take root 3 plus root 7, the conjugate of this conjugate would be root 3 minus root 7. Okay. So these are the conjugates. Now try guessing the conjugate of this. Root 3 minus root 2, the conjugate would be root 3 plus root 2. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by root 3 plus root 2. So when we multiply the top, 1 times root 3 plus root 2 is going to be root 3 plus root 2. So at the bottom, there is going to be root 3 minus root 2 and root 3 plus root 2. So if we look at the bottom, you'll notice something special. Now we have learned something known as difference of two squares. So a plus b, a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. So this fits the format a minus b, a plus b, which is going to be a squared minus b squared. So this is going to be root 3 plus root 2, and when we simplify this, we'll take into this format. So it's going to be root 3 squared minus root 2 squared. So we're going to end up with root 3 plus root 2 divided by root 3 squared is going to be 3 itself, since if you look in this way, root 3 into root 3, which is going to be root 9, and root 9 is equal to 3. So basically if you have a surd of a number squared, it's going to end up with the same number. So 3 minus this is going to be 2. So this part is equal to 1. So we end up with root 3 plus root 2. Alright, so now we looked at these 5 questions, and initially we looked into the indices laws and we looked how to form and conjugate and then to rationalize these surds. So it's pretty easy, this surds lesson, so you can score well in your IGCSEs in this lesson. So work on them well and practice hard. So hope you enjoyed this video and thanks for watching. So subscribe down the red button and please leave your comments and your feedback on this session. Thank you and have a nice day.